Out of four, Supreme Court the final ruling, not a shocking ruling be by the CIA and Mobekai, Skytrain, no, Professor Ameya Kumfi, and Solomon Asamoah, almost Skytrain scandal, na deja court, no, Supreme Court the shocking ruling by the CIA, no, 8 witnesses and also more testify, our court pan the CIA men or cat and Supreme Court, no, this time same way in Abba, Mr. Bedin in Abra, or Ghanatube, but for my call, now I'm quite the same way in Anchi, or Ghanatube, name the CIA.
Back is still News Central here on TV3. Let's go to the courts now, where the Attorney General will call 8 witnesses to testify in the Skytrain scandal involving former board chair of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, Professor Christopher Ameya Ekumfi, and ex-chief executive Solomon Asamoah. Prosecution notified the Accra High Court during a case management conference on Tuesday. The 2 former GIIF officials have been charged with multiple offenses, including causing financial loss to the state, intentional dissipation of public funds. They have pleaded not guilty and are on bail at the moment, while Professor Ameya Ekumfi is on a 10 million cedi bail with 2 sureties to be justified. Solomon Asamoah has been granted a 15 million cedi bail with 2 sureties also to be justified. Lord Edwasari is our court correspondent following the story. Lord, good afternoon. What more can you report on the case management conference today? 8 witnesses, you say?
Right, Kemini. And so basically, the prosecution led by Chief State Attorney Tafako Bache indicated to the court that they were withdrawing 4 witnesses that they had earlier filed their witness statements to rely on. Now, these persons include Setnana Kwame Osei, Benjamin Nate Abrokwa, Reginald Okai, and Chief Inspector Kesti. There was another witness statement by a staff officer, Francis Abuaje, that they had filed on June 3 that they were withdrawing, but they indicated that they were going to replace that with a later witness statement on June 10 that they had filed. But the other 4 that are just outlining their names, their testimony is now going to be recounted by the prosecution. Now, in their state, the Chief State Attorney indicated that we're going to call on 8 more witnesses, and I'll quickly spell them out. They are Odame Dakwa, Kofi Boache, Andrews Ejinim Boating, Mami Ifua Chewa Apebiu, Yvonne Adole Soa, Honorable Chinubua Kodia, Tislia Gambria, and the staff officer, Francis Abuaje. But the lawyers, defense lawyers for both Professor Ameya Ekumfi and then Solomon Asamoah, they indicated that they hadn't been served, and so the judge in the matter asked the prosecution to actually give them 48 hours to serve the defense lawyers with these documentation. Now, the lawyer for Professor Ameya Ekumfi, Duke Aaron Sasu, he attempted to file or move a motion that he had filed early on. He told the court that he had filed an application, which in essence was supposed to be heard on July 9, and so even before he could talk about the application, the presiding judge, Comfort Asame, stood him down and told him that they should just wait until the July 9, where that application will be moved. And at this I'm taking and realize that that application has to do with the defense lawyer for Professor Ameya Ekumfi referring the matter to the Supreme Court and also wanting the Accra High Court to strike out the charges against his client, describing it as premature. So he's asking at the case at the Supreme Court, he's asking for a constitutional interpretation of the Public Property Protection Decree 1997 or the Protection Act 1977, and it has to do with the Section 1 and then Section 7. We'll go a bit more details into that later, but before the Supreme Court to hear this matter, they wanted Accra High Court to stay proceeding, and so that was why the presiding judge adjourned the matter to July 9 to rule on that application that has been filed by the lawyer for Professor Ameya Ekumfi.
Indeed, and then also we know the defense lawyer.
Out of a 7 course, see and the court or high butu. I Professor Ameya Ekumfi and Solomon Asamoah or court case no This Enchebia Nema Baku 10 million Ghana cedis with 2 sureties. And a Baku Sunya 15 million Ghana cedis with 2 sureties. Sisi and you see 8 solid witnesses embe testify on their behalf of the 4 court in some the I didn't just say Sisi and I back to back. Into the Domko quarter near to Ashada just says Sisi ano ya pesia confirm says Sikano and Pa omo fire and some man for the 4 in some night the Jano just a court notice as shocking announcement we are about to be in Ghana. You see, 8 witnesses embe testify in favor of Professor Ameyakunfi and Solomon Asamoah 4 when I sema I de jamesu breaking news case amedi ni nyina bre Ghana to for my uncle na yesantu ansem so Ghana to be register.
Lawyers filed an application to vary the bail terms for Professor Akunfi and Solomon Asamoah. How did that go? What happened to that?
Yes. We're actually expecting that to come up today because at the last agenda date, both lawyers for Solomon Asamoah and then Professor Ameyakunfi wanted the High Court to vary the reporting terms of their clients. Now, per the bail terms of Professor Ameyakunfi, he's supposed to report to the police investigator once a week. We know he's on a 10 million cedi bill to be justified, the 2 sureties to be justified, and then Solomon Asamoah, has been reporting to the investigator 3 times a week, and so they wanted the court to vary this bail term. But when the case was called, that matter did not come up at all. They did not mention it because at the last time the judge had directed them that they formally file the application because at the last time they just made an oral prayer and they didn't do so today. When I inquired further, one of the lawyers indicated to me that from the posturing of Justice Tafsiame, they got the sense that if they had filed the application, there are 2 things that would have happened. Either she would dismiss it entirely, or she would rather extend or increase the number of times that their clients are supposed to report to the investigators. And so they advised themselves and decided to refrain altogether. They can be back in court on July 9, where the court will make that decision on the application filed by the lawyer for Professor Ameyakunfi.
Very well. Lord Edu Asare is court correspondent.
Order for when they breaking news case amedi ni nyina bre Ghana to say Professor Ameyakunfi and Solomon Asamoah munsem no ana e deja Ghana ase chese obi aka ho asemu yesi omedi aban sika na no credit order for ntia court wo ho no se wodi aban sika o se no kro se nya no kro awose e ko pim wo court na ko justify lawyers na ade nyina be determine say no credit se wodi sika na se wodi sika order for si ano sa kwan na si e de Professor Ameyakunfi and Solomon Asamoah nam so a si an yesi o fa 8 solid witnesses abe pm wo court Omba be testify on their favor. Odofo abeko ye anenko ye when e breaking news case here. Bedini nyina bro mo unim say Ghanatube de nyanto ho no mo na de fresh na de nyina bram se musu munya aso na munti na mu ade e koso Ghana so odofo case we de ebeko so e di echi kama se na be ya ye be feed mu sa stories ni nyina about Professor Ameyakunfi and Solomon Asamoah and just say Skytrain scandal ni nyina ebeko so e di echi na just here this break news ni nyina dia brem ewo Ghanatube for ha and I'm bedin semi nyina be see ewo Ghanatube mo refi semba like no ma subscribe no ma share no ma hit notification bell no so am say na be ya abri drop your content wo wonya ne tempa no ahwe no wetie mo for ha and I'm bedin semi nyina be see ewo Ghanatube maka mu nyina me da mu nyina se